Hello again, everybody. Well, I am in Delaware again. This time, I have been told to check out this museum. This is the Hagley Museum. Now, I've been told that it talks about some DuPont goings on here, so we're going to check it out. But for a brief moment, take a look at that building. There's some very old and very cool buildings around here. And right outside the gate, it talks about the DuPont powder mills. So anyway, guys, let's go in here to the Hagley Museum and take a look and see what we can see. Let's go have some fun. And yeah, that's right above our heads is a pretty main thoroughfare, but we're gonna go this way. Okay, that is pretty cool. And it is in an absolutely gorgeous setting. I guess they just had a lot of mills and a lot of things set up right along this body of water, which, correct me if I'm wrong, anybody knows this may be the Brandywine River? I'm not 100% sure. So if you know, please put it in the comments below. Okay, so they definitely are using water, or they did use water to their advantage. You've got all of these diversion creeks and things running through. You can see the very cool valves that could open and close. But look at this. Man, these buildings are killing me. They're just absolutely phenomenal. But I believe we got to go in there. So I will catch up with you guys in a minute. Very cool. And I was right, this museum is all about the DuPonts. So we're going to see a lot of stuff today. Evidently, this is a pretty big thing. Now, in this visitor center building, you have got inventions. And it's the inventors thing. And we might check the second floor out a little bit later. Oh, look, it's a carpet sweeper. Very funny. Now, here's how things are laid out. Evidently, this is the powder mill area right in here. And we're going to walk out this way and go up towards the DuPont's first house in the United States. So this is going to be pretty cool. Okay, guys, you definitely need to come and check this place out. I don't know if you can see through the grate, but as they divert water through, it would pull power right there, and it would run power up the hill. That is so cool. Old age power generation. What a very cool thing. And on top of everything else, this is absolutely a gorgeous location. I mean, look at all these old buildings. Quite impressive. And it looks like it's somewhat accessible for handicapped. They keep talking about the shuttles that go back and forth. I think I'm going to have to ride on one for a brief moment in time. But let's see if we can get in here. Maybe, maybe not. But so the shuttles can at least take you around. Very cool. Well, let's see if the doors are open. Oh, very cool. Oh yeah, they've made this very accessible. Very cool. I mean, look at this. You can use the power from the water to drive shafts, that drives belts, that drives the drill. There is definitely a lot of climbing around here. And then this is up that hill where I filmed a little bit earlier. If you hear me blowing, apologies. There are some serious mosquitoes. Very cool. And you've got a pipe coming out from further up the hill. A decent amount of water is actually moving through. And they would have diverted the water through this. And then while I'm not on the side where you can see it easily, you can see that's where the head builds up. And then right now it's just flowing down through. And this is most impressive. And I have a feeling that it's going to take me a lot longer to explore. Anyway, I'll catch up with you guys in a minute. Well, I'm assuming I am walking out through the powder yard. Looks like a lot of resurrection fern too. Huh. Okay. That is very cool. So I'm assuming that they'd be making it that way, and these walls were in the way to block things. And again, you have got valves and all sorts of stuff. You can see these things. Well, you know what? We'll go take a look. Well, this one has been built up a little bit more. Huh. Well, you know what? That explains why everything looks the way it does, because they're using a lot of this stone, and it's pretty hardcore rock. Okay, so evidently the QR code will have some stuff about the worker's legacy. Very cool. And yeah, making this stuff was dangerous. Well, I hear something rolling and grinding, so sounds like we're going to be seeing the rolling mills. Okay, that's impressive. That is a lot of weight moving around.
Video slow-mo, okay? set? Yep. Here you go.
Okay, so this comes down through here, and then we're down in here, so it shows that the rolling mill was water powered at one point. Most impressive. And those wheels were about 8 tons apiece. And yes, it is water powered. We have more buildings in here. So this building is a program center now, and it's got restrooms, but it was where they built wheels, is what a gentleman just told me. Now, this may be a machine shop. I'm not 100% sure. Somewhere in here we're going to get to see some other pieces of equipment. Okay, that's very cool. Oh, wow. Very impressive. Saltpeter, charcoal, and sulfur. And that's how you make gunpowder. I hear something grinding in the background. Oh wow. Using the wooden mallets to pound it and incorporate. Very cool. You know, for those of you that like the old antique glass, take a look at that. The press house. I mean, this is... Huh. Huh. So it forced the powder through. This is most impressive. The drying house. Well, you got to dry it all out. And then I guess these are testing. Yep. They tested the powder by firing a 24-pound ball from a mortar. Okay, that's very cool. And remember, all of this was powered by water. Yeah, I imagine that was probably the most dangerous spot. Another old school technique. I'm walking on a pathway that is made with wood, not stone or brick. Okay, so the machine shop is pretty impressive, and according to the folks here, this is all water powered. So yes, this is running off of a turbine, and this is the old way that things would have been done prior to steam and prior to all that electricity. And it could run all of this impressive gear. So you have the big drills, everything could be run from water. Okay, that is most impressive. And just like that, here we are down now. The lady that was doing the demonstration shut the thing down, but you can see that the water flows down in here and then goes down into that and turns it. It's going to turn that and then turn the wheels and turn the rope. And all of that power goes up to the machine shop. Very cool. This talks about that blue gneiss. You can see it everywhere. And this is a demonstration of a little quarry. And for those of you that have been here before, yes, I'm doing this backwards, evidently. Very cool. Wow. It is most impressive. Huh. So it was a sweeping room. Very cool. And this place is huge. And then you come across neat things like that. It's over in the corner. Most impressive. Little, I guess it's narrow gauge. It looks narrow gauge. So yeah, this would have been used to transport the black powder. Very cool. Huh. Interesting. Coming through the trees. Wow. So this is the graining mill. Huh. Look at this. This is a lot of water flow. A great big water wheel. The water would flow down through this and hit this. Huh. That is really cool. I guess we finally come to the head of where the water gets let through all the way up here. And looks like we have a lot of buddies. Hi guys. Well, it looks like this building is closed. You have a steam engine. I don't know if we'll be able to see much of anything in here, but let me try to. A little bit of stuff. house is down that way, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Then we have all the trees that are lined up on the fences. It's called, I'm going to say Escalade. Esplanade. And you would see this at Mount Vernon. You also see it at Thomas Jefferson Monticello.
That is a beautiful, beautiful house. And this was DuPont's house here on the property. And then the first office is over there.
I just want to FYI.
Very nice.
You did, you were with us. Had all the Christmas trees.
So keep in your mind that when the house was first built, it was much smaller. The office for the company was in the house. You had people staying here. You had powder yard workers coming in and out. It was not a luxury home. A lot of people ask me about the floors. The floors were Mrs. Crowning-Shield's 1923 renovation, in addition to the paneling and crown molding. Any crown molding you see was Mrs. Crowning-Shield's 1923. The house would have ended right about where that tall cabinet is. That would have been the 14 feet that was added to the back of the house in 1853. Now, if you look behind you at this picture, where it's taken where we're standing looking out to the staircase. Mrs. Crowning, if anybody was a fan, she traveled with a staff of paid servants. I love what she said about her dog. Crowning was a very warm, humorous person. She said, "We love our dogs, they antique our rugs for us." 50s to the turn of the century, New England and Canadian wool oak rugs, beautiful works of folk art, so look around for them. She collects eagles. We do see eagles here. There is a nest across the river. Sometimes we see the eagle over there. But she says she collects eagles because the best brand of gunpowder you could buy from the DuPont company was the Eagle brand. And if you go and you visit the demonstration of the black powder down in the powder yard, you're in the Eagle mill there, the roll mill. But also the family came over on a ship called the American Eagle, and you're going to see a picture of that back in 1799. Shield's dining room.
Yeah, what is it's? I know it's bluestone, but what is the name for the particular?
Nice,
Nice.
G-N-E-I-S-S.
So yeah, it was explosion resistant.
Yeah. Have you been to the roll mill demonstration
Yes.
yet? Yeah, and they talk about the walls and everything. So this was Henry's sitting room in 1853, but Mrs. Crowning-Shield turns it into her dining room. When she's in town, she's having large dinner parties. And so she's the one, I see everybody looking at the wallpaper, so I'll go ahead and talk about that. Mrs. Crowning-Shield put this wallpaper in this room. It's called Seating America, and as you look around, does it look familiar? You probably have watched the presidents talk from the diplomatic reception room in the White House. Jackie Kennedy put the same wallpaper in there. I know I've watched both President Trump and President Obama talk from there. I probably missed Biden talking from there. But it was put in by Jackie Kennedy with the help of Mrs. Crowning-Shield's brother, Henry Francis. Stamp every design on the strips of paper.
Zoo Bear.
So if you look them up, you'll
Wallpaper
see
Company.
this video. So, scenes of America that were popular in the 1830s. So let's see if you recognize any. To my left, over here on the left side of that window, Niagara Falls, the American side.
Okay. Yeah.
On the other side of that window in the corner, you're standing in the foreground, Weehawken, New Jersey. You're looking out over the water. In the background, that's New York City. In front of us, West Point Military Academy in the Hudson Valley. You see the cadets lined up. Recognize that right away, they come in. Now, I will tell you that the artists had never been on the landing.
The butler's pantry.
So the house would have ended right about here before 1853. So this could not have been the original staircase in 1802. It was not. This would have been the balcony. The original staircase probably would have been in this area.
So yeah, looking down at the original black powder factory, which is down there. A little grown up now.
If you look kind of over, you can see across the path there the original mill race, the dam. The dam slows down the water, brings it into the mill races. You can see some of the foundations. I'll hold this up, and then this one is looking down from the balcony. It was very industrial. 1818, one of the largest explosions of the 288 that happened here. Mrs. Dupont, EI's wife, was upstairs in the master bedroom with the baby, when all of a sudden the windows blew, furniture falls over, the ceiling falls on her head as she's protecting the baby in the cradle. She recovers, but she's not quite able to do the same thing she could do before. So, very dangerous living here. If there was a big enough explosion, family would have to run from the house, come back and clean everything else up. Anniversary of the DuPonts coming to America. They arrived, left France. So Mrs. Crowningshield makes this room very masculine room, the head of the militia in the area. So for the Union. So as soon as the Civil War broke out, he stopped selling black powder to the South, and he supplied the Union with up to 50% of their black powder needs. I'm going to lead the way upstairs. Okay, so that was in the center hall. Henry moved them back here in 1853. So take your time.
There's a third floor to this house, so those steps.
I'm sorry?
There's a third floor to this house?
Yeah. So we don't go up there. That would have been the servant steps going upstairs, or the back steps from 1853 on toward Mrs. Crowningshield. And the rooms are mostly used for storage.
Well, I don't think some of the summers would be like the race. Because the high school and
Yeah, down in the Abbey it was, but they had more.
Going up to the servants' quarters and storage. Here we are upstairs. There's a couple chairs. If it doesn't have a ribbon, you're more than welcome to sit as we walk around. This room would have been a bedroom during Henry's time. You're in the wing. This would not have been here during EI's time. I understand that Crowningshields in the 1900s used this as a room to have breakfast in when they weren't having guests in the house, which was pretty rare. But we call this the Henry, there he is, and Louisa Gallery. Henry lived in the house the longest, born here. He acquired the house, inherited the house when his father passed away. He passed away here. So we want to that portico. Henry erected it. Well, 1923, Mrs. Crowningshield wants the house to look like it did in the early 1800s. So it wasn't there. Excuse me. Oh, wow.
Maybe all broke up, I'm sorry to hear you.
Now, and hand carved. You see hunting rugs, tapestries, and so the rooms behind me are the original bedrooms. So I want you to think that this area here would not have been here during EI's time. That area there would not have been here. The house probably would have ended right about here, the staircase coming up over here. So it was much different. So I'm going to let you go. Let me just tell you a few things that you're going to see. The rooms are small, so we all won't fit in. Behind me is the master bedroom. It is EI's mahogany 1807 bed. When you walk in, you're going to see a highboy right here. Look on the upper doors for little patches. That fell over in 1818 when Mrs. Dupont was hurt in that 1818 explosion. You'll see children's toys because the house was always so crowded. The kid, two or three of the kids had to sleep with their parents. So going from right to left, you start with the earliest items that belong to the daughters, and then everything else is labeled. And the pictures of some of the brides wearing these dresses is on the fireplace mantle.
I can't get over how small. Look how small that is. These people were tiny.
Huguenots. Later they became, some of them became Episcopalian. I think Pierre Samuel, I think it was either his mother or his wife was Catholic. So when you come down, the portrait or picture in front of you was done in 1938, and it is a picture of the gardens behind the house. So let's take a look at that for just a minute. Give everybody a touchdown. So here's the house. We were standing on the balcony, and some of you might have seen steps. Really making the garden collapse that we use for the refinery. Your bus will be here. You'll seal this when you go back downriver. Let's step into Mrs. Crowning Shields to the left. Kitchens. 1923 kitchens.
Oh, wow.
See the dumbwaiter over here? You know what? The curator said that they found a small one, and they didn't think she had it. There was a small one somewhere around here. But they basically used that. A lot of people did. You wonder, it's not original, but it's very much. Ask them, oh, tell me about it. And they said as children, they hated eating in the formal dining room. No elbows on the table, they had to get dressed up.
So that was a pool down there.
You can see the spring house to the left of the pool, and that's where these four ice boxes, an underground spring would flow beneath it, and that was a way to keep your food preserved and cold. The swimming pool was actually a natural pond at one time, and take the house, especially when she wasn't here, and you can see the gates. The eyes, 1802. Henry made the house bigger in 1850, and Henry Algernon and his daughter Crowning Shields, they renovated the house for the last time.
Well, guys,
Now we have
that's a
one
look
more
at the
place
house.
to go. Watch your step. Here you can see on the gneiss here, the stone, where they blew it out of the quarries. Okay? And let's step in.
and every time you come, you'll hear something that may be a little different. So, Mrs. Crowningshield turned this into a guest house. But the furniture that was left here in 1870 was still here when she came in 1923. She saved it. So most of the furniture belongs here. You go ahead and step in that room. That's the bookkeeper's office. And the stand-up, sit-down desk and the mail cabinet are original to the office. They work long hours, so the stand-up, sit-down desk, rather than the sit-or stand. They had Sundays off, and of course, you know, they had Christmas off. They had one other holiday off in the 1870s. It's the centennial, July 4th. Yeah. And then the mail cabinet still has the names of cities that were ordering black powder in the 1870s. You'll see most of the cities listed there are out west. That's where they needed the black powder for blasting. I think I mentioned before that most of the powder being made in the 1870s here was used for blasting. We really needed it to build the railroads, clear the farms. And it was sent out in barrels like you see there. 25-pound barrels, bigger barrels for the military. Now this next room was added by Henry. So the building was 1837, but Henry had this room in 1853 when he became president. He used it as his personal office, so it's his desk in there.
And here we are underneath the barn, and there's a historic car exhibit. Now, I'm going to tell you guys ahead of time, I'm going to apologize. I'm not going to be able to make it to the soda house or to the employee housing area because I'm running out of battery, and this tour has taken a lot longer. This is a fairly massive place to check out. You definitely have to budget a lot more time for this because, like I told you, it is just massive. Anyway, well, before the battery dies, let's go take a look up in the barn. So this is the Cooper shop. Very cool. Let's take a look up at the top. Wow. This is very monstrous in here. That makes sense. Dupont explosives. And then you've got this massive Conestoga wagon. Truly massive piece of kit. Wow. Very cool. Well, guys, like I said, I'm going to have to charge this before it dies. So I'm going to leave you guys with this. As always, I'm off to go on some more journeys. So until then, why don't you go on a journey of your own? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.